Okay, now we want to use our calculators to see if we can find some additional information about the graph of this function. We're going to go to the y equals screen and input our function, which is 2x cubed plus 2x squared minus 24x. And now we're going to graph. Now notice that the graph of this function is off our calculator screen, so we need to adjust our window so that we can see a complete picture of the graph. We need some more information. If I press second graph to go to the table, what I want to look for is what's happening between those zeros, right? Because between -4 and 0, it went to some high point. I need to know what is the value of that high point so I can see it on my calculator. As I'm looking between -4 and 0, I see that it goes up to a value of 40. And then between 0 and 3, remember it went down to a low point, it went to a value of -24. So I need to adjust my window so that I can see a largest value of 40 and a lowest value of -24 in the y direction. I'm going to press my window key and we're going to change the window settings. So the x values are not the problem. All of those zeros were in view between -10 and 10. I want to set a y min so that I can see that -24, right? So I'm going to choose, let's say, -30. And then my y max, I needed to see something above that 40, so maybe we'll just put it at 50. And I would not count by ones to get to 50. Maybe I count by fives or by tens. So I'm just going to set my scale at 5 and now press graph. So now I see the complete picture of my graph. I see that it goes down to the left like we knew. It goes up to the right. It crosses the x-axis through each of those zeros, which we knew by the multiplicity. And there are 2 turning points on this particular function. I need to figure out what are those ordered pairs at the turning points. And so to do that, I'm going to use another function on my calculator, which is this calculate feature. We're going to do second trace, and it enables me then to find minimum or maximum points on my graph. Let's choose maximum since that is the point to the left. So we're going to first be asked to enter a left bound. That means we need to be somewhere to the left of that high point. So think about drawing a visual or vertical line through that high point, and you want to be on the left side of that vertical line. Doesn't matter where you are as long as you're to the left, and press enter. Now we need to go to the right side of that high point. So again, thinking about a vertical line through that high point, be on the right side of it, and press enter. And now our guess is going to be to the actual high point. So just somewhere close to that point, and press enter. And notice the display at the bottom of the screen now. It tells me that my maximum point is at -2.4 and 41.5 if we approximate. So I'm going to write that down on my slide. So at -2.4, 41.5 is one of our turning points. So now let me clear this out. And now I need to do this for the other turning point, that relative min. We will press second trace and now choose number 3, which is minimum. And then you're going to be asked the same series of questions, left bound, right bound, and guess. So again, think about drawing a vertical line through that minimum point, and you want to be on the left side of it. So I'm on the left side of it. I'm going to press enter. And now to the right side of it, I've got to go through the point and over to the other side. Press enter. And now I'm going to be asking for the guess. So I want to go to that minimum point and press enter. So it tells me that my minimum point is approximately 1.7, if I round to the nearest tenth, -25.2. So clearly my graph that I hand drew was not to scale, and that's okay. At this point, we're really just wanting you to be able to sketch the graph. But my relative max is the y value of that peak point, which is at 41.5, and that occurred at the negative 2.4. My relative min is the y value of that minimum point, which is negative 25.2. So notice that my graph is clearly not to scale. We're going to use our imaginations and think of this point as being, what was that? Negative 2.4, 41.5, and 1.7, negative 25.2. So notice that the graph is increasing to that maximum point, then it's decreasing, and then it increases again after we get to the minimum point. So where is the function increasing? Remember, that's intervals of x, so it's increasing from negative infinity to negative 2.4, but then again from 1.7 to infinity. And it's decreasing between the peak points, peak and valley points, so that's between the negative 2.4 and the 1.7.